Hello, welcome back to Halloween Lane. As always, I'm Rebel Joyce. Joining me once again today is Sean.
Hello.
Melina.
Hello.
And Manuel.
Are you gonna say the thing?
It's not a. Like,
She hasn't done it for like any of the other
done
ones.
it for all
Don't
of them.
remind
Yeah,
no, but
it's
but
okay.
it just feels weird.
Wrong. They're already spooked as it
Okay, that's fair
I
enough.
don't need to do that.
Cool.
And Manuel, since you rudely interrupted him.
Hello.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That was important.
Today, we're going to be looking at a new subreddit that I stumbled across because we were creatively
Don't say that.
bankrupt.
Shut up.
So I was looking for something sort of like, theme appropriate of Halloween, spooky, kind of scary-esque, and I came across this subreddit called Let's Not Meet, and it's people telling tales of like encounters they had that they're like, I don't want to meet this person ever again. And so I kind of went through it. Most of the newer posts are like, take with a pinch of salt, but I've went through it and they have some tags or flares, I don't know what they're called on Reddit.
Flares, yeah.
That basically, if it's not used extensively as I found, but stories that have been properly verified, like they've been sent, enough proof to the mods or something like that to confirm these events happened.
Yeah.
So this one that I'm gonna read, I think most of them that I've picked out have been verified.
It's strange to me. Like, imagine you write it, am I the asshole? Someone's like, proof?
Well, I think
Source,
the
to be
difference
fair-
here is that you're talking about stuff like that can
Feasibly.
be,
Verified.
because like some of them are like stalking stories, so it's like
Yeah.
very
Send us a few
easy.
text
Yeah.
messages.
Yeah. Just send the court restraining order or something.
Yeah.
So this one, the thing that bugs me is the flare is called Verified Epic, which I'm like,
Guys.
Good sir, you're epic.
Yeah,
Have some
like,
gold, good
you know,
sir.
nothing about these stories is epic.
It's a higher tier than verified common, but it's a lower tier than verified legendary.
The thing is,
Yeah.
could not find any other form of verified on here. It was just verified epic, medium, nothing. So I'm like, okay, I guess medium is like they've sent some proof, but maybe not everything's 100%
It wasn't an epic.
verifiable.
Was it epic?
But it wasn't
the epic
yeah.
of verified.
So yeah, the story we've got here is quite a long one. So hopefully it doesn't take up like the whole episode. So we can get to maybe a couple other ones. But this first one we've got is called 2 Years of Hell, How I Was Stalked, Completely Betrayed, and Nearly Murdered. And this is long and there's no real breaks, so just like
Let's sit
free
down.
fire, interrupt,
Okay, cool.
point things out that you want to. So it starts, hey everyone, this is my first post on an actual Reddit, so bear with me. Let me see if I can find where this actually starts. Allow me to tell you about the time I dated a guy on MySpace for 2 years that nearly ended up getting my entire family murdered, me stalked by a psycho, and everyone involved nearly losing their minds.
Did you say
Oh.
MySpace? Sorry, did you say MySpace?
MySpace, so this is like
Wow,
this
like-
is
Really,
old.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
post is from like 8 years ago, and then the events are still from some years before
Okay.
that
Yeah.
too. Where was I?
Sorry, MySpace.
No, it's alright. I've written this down. I've never written this down before or told very many people that even I trust. It's all just too painful and quite honestly unbelievable to tell often. If it didn't happen to me, I probably wouldn't believe it either, but unfortunately it did. I promise that what you're about to read is 100% the absolute truth. I hope you'll find this interesting. Let me give you some background. Wasn't that just the background?
More background.
Let me set the stage. 1974. I was born.
I'm an almost 28-year-old a gay male who was born and raised, and that was such a weird sentence. I'm gonna do that again. I'm an almost 28-year-old gay male who was born and raised in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was Appalachian or Appalachian. I think it's Appalachian. Yeah.
I think it depends on like just the regional pronunciation.
Yeah. Which for my friends not in America, that's in the south, more towards the mid-Atlantic region. That didn't help me.
No, that doesn't
No.
mean
I know what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
I'm just mountains.
Big mountains.
I usually don't just throw being gay out there, but it's important to my tale and to understanding why I made such insanely poor choices in my teenage years. I know almost everyone does, but this really takes the cake. Follow you back to when I was 16, just about 12 years ago, so that's 20 years ago, roughly, from the point of posting, from now, I should say. I was a junior in high school and had plenty of friends and no trouble with bullies, at least not while I was at school. My parents are now wonderful people who greatly regret the way they treated me when they found out I was gay. At the time I hated them for being so horrendous to me, but as I got older I finally understood that their reaction was just a product of the strict religious movement they had and myself were brought up in. Mild disclaimer. Okay. This is about, like, basically they just say, like, don't hate on anyone for being part of the religion. This isn't about LGBT stuff.
Okay.
It's just like, you know,
Let's not get hung
they're
up on
defending
that.
their
Come
parents,
Just
and it's
context,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
They've
you know,
grown. Okay.
My parents, who at the time firmly believed that this would send me my eternal soul into damnation, pretty much only allowed me to stay at our house a couple of days a week. After that, for at least a year, I was living on friends' couches and off the kindness of their parents. I was in what I can only describe as the worst state of miserable major depression I have ever been in my entire life. I had tried to commit suicide the year before with a very serious overdose that cost me 9 days in the ICU. I should have died, but your liver is an amazing thing, and it started to regenerate on its own. Can it really?
I think ish.
Ish?
Yeah.
I think it gets to a point where you cannot do it anymore.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It does.
There's a certain
Okay.
threshold of
Yeah,
damage.
Yeah.
A year to the day after that, literally to the day, the first guy I ever fell in love with was killed in a tragic car accident. Holy fuck.
Oh.
God,
And this is the background.
This guy's not having a
Yeah.
good time, and I've read this before. My parents had zero empathy for my feelings. They were the immoral feelings of the blasphemous son, so they didn't count, I guess. I remember coming back home from his funeral that night, and my father asking me, "Why are you so upset? Okay, I can't say that.
Oh no.
Where are you blank with that boy or something?" Fill that in with your
Yeah,
imagination, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
I didn't even respond, just walked right past him and straight into my room, where I proceeded to cry myself to sleep. Again, don't judge them too harshly, they were different people back then. They were very different people, if you say they're
Yeah, I
loving
hope
now.
so. I hope they're very different now.
Yeah. Needless to say, this sent me completely spiraling downward in the worst ways possible. Drugs, alcohol, you name it, I did it. Anything to stay numb and keep myself from feeling the immense amounts of pain I was in emotionally every single day. To have your situation go from a year before seeing your father cry for the first time as you lay dying in a hospital bed to him spewing so much malice and hatred towards you, let's just say it was enough to make anyone have a mental breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable. I had friends who cared and loved me deeply. I don't know why that wasn't enough. It just wasn't. I felt like no one truly loved me or ever would. Hell, if my own parents couldn't, then what were my chances with finding a soulmate? Would I just be alone forever and as miserable as I was then? At the time, and in my angsty teen mind, that's exactly what it felt like. Which finally brings us through my background and mindset leading into pure unadulterated hell that would soon follow. Jeez. God, that's just the background.
Yep.
In the midst of my deepest, darkest despair, the brightest idea anyone ever had on this planet popped into my head. Well, if no one here will love me, then I'll just go online and try and meet someone who will.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Pure stroke of genius, right? It just made absolute biblical sense to me at the time.
To Craigslist. I mean, MySpace.
I felt like the only gay teen in the whole damn state, like the only person who really understood me was me, and only ever would be me.
Like the Little Britain sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the only gay in the village.
That in order to find someone who to love me, I would have to search far and wide beyond the doors of the mountainous fortress I have resided in my entire life. Proud of myself for having such an ingenious idea, I immediately hopped on MySpace, Facebook for us old people, for all you young folks who keep saying, what the fuck is MySpace?
Wow.
No
Yeah.
one's asking that, especially not
No.
8 years ago.
Come on.
No, not 8 years ago. I probably have like family members who would ask that, but you know.
Yeah,
I would.
2017. 2017.
8 years ago, yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! 2017 was 8
Yeah.
years ago.
Don't want to think
Depending
about
on when it was posted, it could be nearly 9.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. You could customize just about everything. Oh no, hold on. And spent the next hour making it as badass looking as I thought I could. You could customize just about everything on your profile. So of course mine had to reflect all my emo feelings and the darkness in my soul. It's dark and twisted.
Yeah.
Wake me up.
100% was a song. in this
It would have been,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's perfect time.
Yeah. Word to the wise, and something I wish I realized back then, if you're trying to attract the darker things in society, you're probably going to get back exactly what you're sending out. I know I sure as hell did. okay, not everyone who likes alternative stuff is, you know.
Yeah, but if you're being extremely emo,
Yeah,
to the point
that's
where
true.
you're-
I
You're
mean, the
gonna-
sense that it's like genuine depression.
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
gonna
Yeah.
attract
Just
the,
like
the actual
goth or emo
weirdos.
like
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It all started out innocently enough. I clicked on one of my gay acquaintances' profile. Why does that sound so funny?
my gay acquaintance.
Hello, my gay acquaintance.
And for some reason, this guy in his top 8 just flew right out at me. His name was Jacob. He was gorgeous, dressed in all black, and that was pretty much all I needed to know at the time. I saw he was from Maryland, several hours from me, but far enough to possibly not be like everyone else here. Far enough to hopefully have exactly the kind of mentality that I was looking for in another human being. So I sent him a message, something lame to the effect of, "Hi, what's up? I saw you on my friend's top 8 and thought you were cute, so I figured I could just say hello." I wasn't expecting a response, none whatsoever. He was so gorgeous and seemed way too cool for me, so why in God's name would he message a guy like me back? And then it happened. Within a minute of sending my message,
No.
I got one back.
That is too fast.
That is too
Yeah.
fast.
That is too fast.
And it was from him. Not gonna lie, I exploded in joy on the inside.
Wow. Why'd you laugh? Why'd you laugh at that?
Sorry.
Explode of joy.
Yeah. What's so funny?
It's just the wording of inside, especially. Just
Yeah.
sorry.
Get on with the story.
Something that I hadn't felt in years and years. It was just something like, "Hey, you're cute too. How are you?" But it was enough to send me over the moon. I felt alive again, but what I really felt was hope again. We talked the rest of the day and night. We talked about each other, how much life sucked, how bad we wanted away from our hometown and our lives. You know, the usual for teenage gay boys living in repression. I fell hard for him, too hard. I mean, hook, line and sinker hard. We chatted for maybe a week before he asked me out. I had no problem with dating online. Hell, that was the whole point of me doing this in the first place, so I eagerly said yes. We had only been dating for a week after that or so when he introduced me to the rest of his friends. I met his ex-boyfriend Zachary and their best friend Josie, who I quickly became best friends with, along with about 10 other girls and guys. Josie was a cool chick and she had known these guys for years. Who better to give me all the dirt on them? During the course of the next month, Josie and I became the closest friends out of everyone he introduced me to in what turned out to be a gang. Like an actual gang. Like a
gang.
A gang,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
Not like a gang of friends, like a gang.
A gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they in the mob? Hey, Josie, find the
Yeah.
freaking gay.
They do drive-bys every weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony.
Hey,
Jacob, what you doing?
Christopher.
Do you want to buy some CD players?
should get some coffee later. Hey.
Hey.
They were mostly just a group of suburban white kids who called themselves the Elites.
Oh, that's not. You don't know the implications, you stupid children.
It was a different time.
I know.
Suburbia riding on their dirt bike.
Yeah.
They don't know.
I just drank and smoked a lot of weed. I had heard some crazy stories here and there about them beating people up and some of them taking the gang thing way too seriously, but I didn't really think much about it. Okay.
That's fine.
Wait, do they live in different states?
Yeah, so
He was in Maryland, the online guy.
they don't mention the state they're in,
Yeah.
but I assume the Appalachian Mountains, at least the part that they were in, was in a different state. I don't
Yeah.
know if they cross into Maryland or not, but they were in a different state.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know geography.
Yeah, it's just weird that they mention Maryland, but later in the story they mention saying something to someone and said, if you don't leave this and just put
Area.
in state and
Yeah.
square brackets, and I'm like,
You said Maryland.
you said Maryland, you can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
say your own state,
Yeah.
like,
States are quite big.
Yeah.
I think your privacy will be okay.
yeah. Okay, I should start highlighting where I am when we start chatting about stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Josie and I had been talking on the phone every single day and really made a genuine connection with each other. So she had my sense of bizarre humor, was extremely intelligent, and still liked to have crazy good time on top of it all. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by
At
that?
this point, are they meeting in person?
No, not yet. I don't
Okay,
think
okay,
anyways.
So far, this reads like a fan fiction.
It does.
Yeah.
Does a little bit,
This
yeah.
does
Yeah.
not read like a real.
Yeah, it's been verified.
Yeah,
They might
epically,
just, yeah.
epically.
Yeah, you know, hold on. The crazy good
Yeah.
fun of 2004 era MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to Napster.
Yeah.
Yeah, LimeWire.
Downloading stuff from LimeWire,
Yeah.
taking a whole day to download an MP3. During this period, Jacob and I were doing great, but there was one little problem. I had started to fall in love with his ex Zachary the more I talked to him. Jacob could be intense and at times violent when he was angry, from what I had heard.
Oh.
Okay.
But on the other hand, Zachary was his complete opposite. He was too kind for his own good, an extremely caring guy, and he wrote the most beautiful piano music I had ever heard. Being a musician myself, French horn for 10 years.
Plays
By the
beautiful
way, I
piano.
play the French horn.
The classiest of instruments.
I was immediately endeared to this guy. The more and more time I spent online talking to Zachary, the less and less time I felt like talking to Jacob. Eventually, Jacob kind of figured out what was going on, and to my shock, he let me know he was cool with it and wished us the best.
I
For
feel
now.
like he's not going to be cool with it later.
That's how, after about 2 months with Jacob, I started dating his ex, Zachary.
That feeling you have is a surprise tool that will help us later.
Yeah, let's put that away for now.
This would be the guy... Sorry, I thought someone was whispering into the microphone for a second. That was weird.
I don't know why I looked at you, man.
Yeah,
There was
I
no
just
reason
sort of
for me
looked
to.
around and I
Yeah.
was like, who?
Yeah, I
What?
also heard it.
Yeah, that was weird.
Really? I don't know.
This would be the guy I would date for the next 2 years, and with whom the worst of my life would be spent.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Josie was clearly thrilled for me. We talked every day online and on the phone. Sometimes I talked to Zachary on the phone, but more often than not, we just kept our communication to AOL Instant Messenger. Oh, the good old times.
Classic.
When we started dating was when everything started to collapse. Jacob, who initially said he was okay with everything, ended up exploding. He's completely tore me a new one online, and then proceeded to go and kidnap my current boyfriend.
What?
Excuse me, huh?
Josie called me up freaking the hell out, saying he'd taken Zachary and no one knew where they were. This clearly sent me reeling from shock. I guess all the rumours I had heard about Jacob were true, and now because of my actions, the guy I'm in love with was in danger. You've known him for like 2 months, my guy.
Yeah.
But they're teenagers.
Yeah,
It's love.
It's overly dramatic.
Sorry, this is gonna be long. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm really, it makes sense. When Christian in the early no, listen to me. It's gonna be short. In the early days,
I'm
he was
setting a
being
timer.
trolled online,
Uh-huh.
and he thought it was with all his girlfriends, and they would tell him the craziest story, like,
Yeah.
oh, this person died in a bushfire, or this person kidnapped me, or this person he performed an abortion over me, and this is like him, like Chris Chance, like from his point of view, like he's believing all this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he got kidnapped. Like it sounds like the
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course you did, buddy.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, buckle up. So we'll get there. I quickly contacted some of the older guys in the gang and let them know what was going on. Their response was basically, shit, not again.
Oh, here we go again. What do you mean again?
Which caught me off guard. Again? You mean this happens frequently? I talked to Chaz, the leader of this gang, while he sent some guys to deal with Jacob and retrieve my boyfriend.
Oh, he kidnaps one of us at least every other month. It's cool. We've
It's
got a whole
fine.
system down.
Yeah.
What do you mean kidnaps? Like he hawk ties them up? Like
I'm imagining like he
know.
bags them.
yeah.
He basically told me in a nutshell that Jacob has been and always will be obsessed with Zachary. That when he gets wasted on whatever, he goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and sets out on some wild mission to kidnap and apparently violate my boyfriend.
I'm sorry,
Violate.
Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs
Violate.
made me.
That, it doesn't elaborate, so I don't know.
So he kidnaps this guy and violates him.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was in complete and total shock. Yeah, I'm having trouble believing it too, man.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
But apparently the situation was resolved easily and he handed over my man without too much incident.
What? He result what?
So that's fine.
I was like, oh, this time I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Just this time.
You get one for free.
He also received a healthy ass beating to remind Jacob that it's not nice to go around kidnapping people just because you can.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Yeah, that's a crime. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's a federal offense.
Believe it or not, straight to jail.
Is it a federal offense?
Probably just a state offense.
It's some sort of offense. Is
Yeah.
the main
If you
part.
cross state lines, probably federal.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was first and certainly not the last incident I can remember where a pattern I'm all too familiar with now would develop over the next several years. Jacob would get drunk and jealous, he would do something completely insane to me or my boyfriend, and then after all the freaking out and worrying was over, he would come crying back to me begging mine and Zach's forgiveness. This would become a weekly routine and it began to wear me out
Weekly?
very quickly.
In all this, they don't meet in person. It's all online. Am I right?
As far as we know.
Yes, so they're seeing this unfold with Jacob and Zachary online.
Online.
They are not present. They are in a
so
different state.
all of
Yeah.
this, like, is like he goes back on his computer at night, types, and is like, "What? How did he go to the?
I
I got kidnapped."
I think what's happening is he's getting phone calls from Josie
Yeah.
to
Right.
inform him.
Right. Yeah. This guy's
And then
getting trolled.
afterwards, he's talking to
Yeah.
Zachary and Jacob
Yeah.
on AIM. Flash forward to around a year after I had sent the very first message to Jacob. I was still with Zachary, still best friends with Josie, who I had been up to Maryland and met in person at this point.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunately, to miss my boyfriend, who was out of town visiting visiting family,
was in Canada.
and was still dealing with Jacob's craptastic, insane plots to ruin my relationship and give me a stroke before the age of 20. None of this craziness set off any red flags in my head, not one. As a matter of fact, nothing during that entire year gave me second thoughts about anything going on, really. That day-to-day the sky is falling lifestyle had become the norm for me, and I was used to it. Several of my friends, however, had their doubts, though they were polite enough to keep them to themselves for the time being. Man, you need better friends.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. This was when the first true danger that threatened me and my family ever arose, and it led to a night I will never forget as long as I live. Cut to me as a 17-year-old who in the span of 1 year had accomplished everything he set out to do. I had the perfect boyfriend, even if I'd never met him in person, didn't care. I had an awesome new best friend in Josie. We'd hung out a few times at that point and I adored her. And I had joined a group of my own in my hometown. My parents were going to throw me away. That is the start of the new sentence. My parents were going to throw me away just because of who I loved. Well, then I was going to throw away every single religious thing I had ever been taught. I go to the dark side. I became
Join us.
I became a Luciferian, otherwise known as a Satanist, and boy oh boy did I think I was a badass now.
Yeah.
Alright, cringe.
Oh, amazing.
So edgy.
Now when it comes to the coven I had joined in my hometown,
Oh lord.
that could fill an entirely different story, an entirely different subreddit. Maybe I'll post that experience sometime, but the point of telling you about them was so you could understand what happened next. I received a call one night around 12 AM from Josie, who was almost beside herself, very out of character for her. I mean, hell, Zachary had been kidnapped over 40 times in the past year and she had hardly batted an eye, but this was different. Okay, man!
Alright.
She explained to me that Jacob had really outdone himself and lost his mind this time. He hired a guy from the elites named Sean to
Hi. Sorry, I forgot.
Spelled
I forgot it was-
different.
okay.
Oh, okay.
to come down to my house and kill me, plus my mother, father, and younger sister.
It was fun. It was just really. It was funny. You mentioned the name, and Melina just like shoots a,
What did you do?
a name on a very accusatory face at me.
It's a scene.
Disappointing.
It's not Sean. It's scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So it's Sean B.
Sion.
It's Sean Bean. Yeah.
Sion.
My sister was about 7.5 years younger than me, and from the day she was born, I have always been fiercely protective over her. She was, and still is, my beautiful baby sister, and truly the only one in my household that I loved at the time. When I heard that my ex had taken it so far as to hire a hitman to come after my family, I flew into what we around here call a mountain rage. Alright, man. It didn't matter to me if someone simply came after me, but to target my precious sister, who had nothing to do with any of this, was the boiling point for me. And even though I despised my parents at the time, I'm still a southerner. And when you mess with a southerner's family, then all the crap you're fighting about goes right out the window, complete and total defend the homestead mode kicked in.
This is going
The south.
like more downhill by the second. It's like,
You're losing me.
how did they get verified epically? I have no idea.
How did? I'm assuming they're all around the same age at this point in time.
Yeah, good question.
Because I'm wondering how a 17-year-old hired a hitman.
I don't know. It's explained a bit later.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I asked Josie when he left Maryland. She told me she found out that he'd started driving towards my house about an hour ago, and as soon as she found out, she called me immediately. Okay, so that meant I had at the most 6 hours to prepare. Jesus Christ.
For death.
And the least possibly 4 if he got a good head start. It's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Call the police, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do something.
She also informed me that Sean was a former army guy. How? They're like 17, right? Unless he's older. But
Which,
it's
I
never-
mean, that brings up
older.
other implications.
Yeah.
Maybe he's, that 24-year-old that hangs out with 17-year-olds.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But got kicked out for failing several psych tests. There's not several. If you fail one, that's it.
That's
You're done,
it,
yeah.
And being a complete sociopath in general.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just out here diagnosing people.
Yeah.
Damn, we really just
Armchair
out
doctor
here.
over here.
Yeah.
I'm not a big guy, and at the time I weighed even less than I do now. I was 5'7" and maybe weighed 130 pounds soaking wet. But my first thought didn't require brute strength to beat
Soaking wet.
back this attacker. Yeah, like okay.
I only weigh myself when I'm just so
Yeah, when I'm drenched.
Just fresh out the pool.
clothes and all.
Yeah.
I called up my coven leader Brandon. Jesus Christ.
No offense to the coven.
Yeah.
Brandon in here.
Who lived not even 10 minutes away from me, and explained the situation. I told him I needed to borrow his favourite toy, and I promised to bring it back in good condition with as little blood on it as possible. He agreed.
A knife?
I kind of expecting it to be a gun.
wooden
Yeah.
steak.
About 30 minutes later, I was back in my room, cleaning and loading an extremely nice over and under pump action shotgun.
Yeah.
Like I said, no brute force required. That's kind of brute force.
Yeah.
I called Josie back and got the details on exactly what he and his car looked like. Then around 4 a.m, I told her I would call her back and crept out in my front yard. Now for people who had never been to my house, they always got where to park at wrong. They always ended up at the front of my house, down a hill, instead of in the driveway on the side. This little detail was stuck in my mind and probably saved my life in the very front of my yard. There was a huge oak tree that was big enough for my skinny girl jean wearing emo ass to hide perfectly behind. All I had to do was wait and hope he did exactly what I thought he would. I got so lucky he parked exactly on the opposite side of the big tree I was hiding behind. I heard a car door open and someone step outside of the vehicle, shortly followed by the unmistakable cocking of a 9mm handgun.
Wow.
Cool.
Okay.
What? This guy's 17. He knows what a 9mm sound like. Sounds like
He's
when-
American.
And he's a Satanist.
That part doesn't have anything to do with what's going on.
When you
Unless
get,
they're really extreme
Yeah,
rituals.
yeah.
when you get inducted into the Luciferians, they're
Yeah.
like,
They
okay,
just
this is
cock
an
a
enemy,
knife.
man. This is a shotgun.
Yeah.
A 21 9mm salute.
Well, that sound may have struck fear into the hearts of others. Would I mean,
It's not ideal.
yeah.
It's not great, no.
It absolutely enraged me to my core. All right, man. So I replied in kind with the sound of my own.
It's just the death whistle.
Yeah. As I stepped around the side of the tree, he was directly in front of his car, gun down by his side. In one motion, I simultaneously pumped a shell at the chamber of my shotgun and raised it directly level with his head about 10 feet away. This guy,
Wow.
who is 130 pounds,
I need to know
both
how
lifted
this is
and pumped,
That's what I was thinking.
Like
a shotgun.
a shotgun. Those things are,
This is so
they're heavy.
clearly bullshit.
Yeah.
But, like,
How did this get verified?
Epically.
epic.
Yeah.
And raised it directly level with his head about 10 feet away from me. This caught me off guard this caught him off guard and completely by surprise. I didn't hesitate. I simply told him the God's honest truth.
I shot him in the head.
I said, "Oh God, do I have to do a southern accent for this?"
No, it's fine.
Buddy,
Aw.
you've got two options right now. Either you go back in your car, turn around and drive straight to Maryland without stopping, or you can so much as flinch in my general direction and I will splatter your brains all across the great state of insert my state.
And I
Oh,
was
no,
wearing
no,
sunglasses while doing
this,
that.
This is a 17-year-old kid.
Yes.
He
I mean,
at
goes
this
to
point
get a
he's
shotgun.
18.
He goes to let's say 18.
No, he says 17 for this part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, for
yes.
this
He was
part.
16 at the
He's
start.
a skinny
yeah.
guy, 5'7", has a shotgun, has this whole monologue, and he says, and he remembers exactly what he said. And it's like this, the cheesiest, like.
Yeah.
Come on.
Basically trying to imagine me at 17.
Yeah.
Imagine. Come on.
I was pretty cool at 17.
Ah, okay. You know
wish-
what?
I
You know
wish-
what? You know what? So
I
was
wish,
I.
I
So
wish
was I.
cocking
Yeah.
shotguns left and
Yeah.
right. Also, he said that he heard him cock the gun.
Yeah, he heard him
From
cock the,
where?
The,
Well,
the
he was-
car. He was behind a tree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He
behind
was
the tree,
behind
like-
it. The guy was in the car,
No,
and he
he
heard
was
it.
already out of the car.
So the
But he
guy
said
stepped
10
out of
feet
the
away.
car.
It was
he
already
heard
out.
the
was out.
cocking
The door
of a,
closed,
yeah,
gun cocked.
9mm gun. He turned around. He came
Unmistakable.
from the tree,
Yeah.
and the guy was 10 feet away. I don't think the cocking of a 9mm handgun's
No.
gonna carry 10 feet.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Okay, go on.
Anyway, you have 5 seconds to decide what's it gonna be. I kid you not, the most sickly smile spread across the psycho's face, and for a moment I thought we were about to reenact the movie Tombstone. Alright, man. Fortunately, he had a much more sense of self-preservation than I thought. Someone who just drove 8 hours. No, he left at like 12 a.m. It's only been like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, to kill a family he
Actually.
never met. I thought someone who just drove 8 hours to kill a family he never met would have. Oh, okay, okay. Anyway, all he did was give a little chuckle and said, "You're a cool dude. See you around."
Sure.
Oh, come on.
See you around, kid.
He then walked backwards very slowly, my gun following him the entire way, got back in his car and just drove off. Right then and there, I made up my mind. I had to tackle the beast head on. I was also raised that if you have a problem, be a damn man and take care of it yourself. I had to go to my enemy Jacob's home turf and bring this war to his doorstep, just like he brought it to mine. It was time to go to Maryland. Supernatural starts playing.
Yeah.
Carry on my way.
Can we just play Angel Thanatos?
Dun 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 dun. Edit. I didn't realize you couldn't make anything a series on Let's Not Meet, so I'll attempt to sum up the next year of this chaos below here. Okay, man.
Sure.
Right.
Oh god, there's so much left.
I'm loving this. This is a great movie.
This is one of the worst fan fictions I've ever heard.
After all the drama of nearly being murdered by a nut job, I'd really had enough of Jacob's BS at this point. I got online and cussed him out until a fly wouldn't land on him, making a point to let him know that his little plan backfired. He wasn't dealing with some poor little boy that couldn't fend for himself, and each and every crazy situation that evolved had made me stronger as a person, if not a little bit more mentally disturbed every time. I told him he was going to regret the day he ever crossed me and my boyfriend. Instead of apologising like usual, his true colours... Oh my god, why am I stumbling so much? Instead of apologising like usual, his true colours finally came out. He laughed at me. He freaking laughed at me. Okay, like on like aim, like just typing, ha 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 ha.
But yeah, but like to those kids, that's an anime villain laugh.
They send the gift of the Joker.
Yeah, I don't think you could send gifts at this point in time.
I'm
A
a-
picture maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm imagining
An attachment.
Ganondorf.
Yeah.
An attachment took him 7 hours to download.
Yeah.
He got it the next morning.
Yeah, yeah.
That fucker.
He told me that I was cute when I was angry and said what a damn shame it was that I didn't have a bullet hole in my head. Alright, man.
Right.
He wished I was dead and that he never spoke to me in the first place because he was still in love, more like insanely obsessed with his ex, my current boyfriend of a year, Zachary. I mean, you just explained all this shit. You don't need to. He informed me that the war was just beginning and he would do everything in his power to win Zachary back like he was some kind of adorable trophy you won for baking the best freaking pie at the country fair. This is a fan fiction. This sounds like, you know.
Yeah, is that some revenge
What kind of
fantasy?
fucking
Yeah.
saying is that?
Yeah.
I was incensed. Okay.
You were what?
It was incensed.
He was incensed.
You
yeah.
were in what?
I've heard this word before.
Incentivized?
No, like incensed, like
To be
Incensed.
it's to be like
incensed.
very like angry, I think. Hold on. Incensed.
I was impured.
Very angry, enraged. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not commonly used.
Never heard that.
Very weird that like a 24 or 5-year-old at the time of writing this is would say it.
Whatever.
Yeah. Completely livid and bring me to the edge with fury. I told him to watch his back because I'm coming for him. I called Josie and told her everything that had happened and asked if I could come stay with her for a week. She excitedly agreed. Zachary was asleep for this whole ordeal and blissfully unaware that anything had happened. When he found out the next day, I think he was even more angry than I was. Fortunately for us, the gang leader Chaz liked Zachary a whole hell of a lot more than he did Jacob, so we hatched a plan with him. The idea was for them to kidnap Jacob like he had Zachary so many times before. They would be accomplishing this task while I was on my way up to Maryland, and when I got there, he would be mine to do with as I pleased. You can imagine the 8-hour drive up there, all the hideous... Hold on, why did it go from like a 4 to 6 hour trip to like an 8-hour trip?
Shitty car.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he's very shit at driving.
You can imagine on the 8-hour drive up there, all the hideous and heinously brutal ideas that were going through my mind. I was going to inflict maximum amounts of pain on this guy that had caused so much in my own life, and I would relish every second of it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, my dreams of reviving the Spanish Inquisition on my ex's head had never come to fruition. When I arrived, oh, sorry, I'm gonna need to take a drink.
Yeah.
I gotta say that is kind of
I
funny.
am so lost. Like, how does the
Same.
title make sense with this? Like, how I got stalked and
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
okay,
Okay.
Story's not over.
I was wondering that when I read this too. Don't worry.
okay.
Excuse me. When I arrived in Maryland, Josie came skipping out to greet me, happy as a lark, like always to see me. I don't like that sentence.
Everything is fine.
She had some good and bad news. I always ask for the bad news first, and the bad news was that Jacob had gotten tipped off by Kenny.
Who the fuck is
fuck's
Kenny?
Where the fuck's Kenny?
In brackets,
Did they kill Kenny? Those fucking bastards.
in brackets, God, I freaking loathed that guy, always meddling where he didn't belong. You've never mentioned him
Who's
before.
Kenny, you stupid? You can't just add a character into the show halfway through and expect us to know.
That everyone was coming from. He made a hasty retreat and had intended to kidnap Zachary and take him on the run too. But that was the good news. Before he could get him, Zachary had hopped on a bus and headed to New York to stay with his mom while things cooled off. Sure he did. As sad as I was that once again I had missed seeing him for the first time, I was just relieved he was out of harm's way.
Kinda convenient how
Yeah.
Both times he's
just
been in Maryland.
keeps him
Yeah.
barely missing him.
Yep.
So strange.
Safe and sound. Again, no alarm bells going off that for the second time that I had made the trip up there, Zachary was not around. Josie called him on her cell and he apparently picked up his mom's because he never had his own cell phone. And we got to enjoy one of the rare times we actually spoke on the phone. All was well now for a week of fun and plotting on what we were going to do to Jacob the next time he reared his ugly head. Later on that week, Josie wanted to drive down to an old colonial part of Maryland and go ghost hunting on these abandoned railroad tracks.
You know, as teenagers do.
Yeah. However uneventful that may have been, we did end up inviting Sean to go with us. You just invited the guy that came to shoot you? Like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Turns out...
You know, water under the bridge.
Yeah, turns out Psycho Dude actually felt bad. Well, almost. He blankly told me that if he didn't have the balls to stand up to... If I didn't have the balls to stand up to him, he would have killed me and my family for just $500.
Wow.
Okay.
Aye.
Instead of killing him on the spot, which every fibre of my being was telling me to do, I decided to play nice and get him on my side.
Why?
That way, if Jacob ever tried that crap again, he would definitely tell him no because I'm the cool dude. Sometimes...
I don't think he cares if
No.
for 500
Yeah,
quid,
sometimes you catch more flies with honey.
Oh, fuck off.
Ew. Ew.
Also, the names Jacob and Zachary.
Yeah.
It's like maybe they're fake. He's like, oh, I'm gonna use fake names.
Yeah, I don't know.
But also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, the rest of the week was normal and a damn good time. Josie and I said our goodbyes and we parted ways, wishing each other a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. There's been no timeline, so I have no
Well,
idea.
exactly.
Like, yeah.
Merry Christmas from Halloween Lane.
The next couple of weeks was semi-normal, no word from Jacob at all, not even a peep. What a gift, I thought, I'll take it. Year 2 of my relationship began quite happily, believe it or not. Even my birthday month of January was an unusually good one. Then came the next couple of months, 2 months which quite vividly live within me to this day. They also defined the life for... They also defined... Oh my god.
Define.
They also defined my
There you
life for the next several years. This is when the sky stopped falling and my world completely crumbled from beneath me in utter devastation. We're in the home
Okay.
stretch, I
So
guess.
the
Yeah.
sky stopped falling, but the ground started falling in an exchange.
Yeah. Things have flipped.
Sorry.
Things got flipped, turned upside down.
No. Up and down and all around.
At the beginning of February, Josie had a sudden and urgent impulse to get away from her parents. Now, I could completely understand that, so I happily agreed to let her come stay down south with me. I borrowed my best friend's car. Don't you have your own car? How did you get up to Maryland before? Like, what the fuck's happening?
I was about to say, I was like, how is it?
Yeah, like,
Did you
the,
just-
and drove a 15 to 16 some odd hour round trip all the way to Maryland and back.
Oh my
That's a long trip.
The time keeps changing. Anyway,
well,
Calm.
it depends what city in the state. You know, I mean, Maryland is small.
yeah,
It's not
but
a
like,
big
if he's
state.
going to... If he's going to Josie, then like
No,
he's
no,
going to
I'm-
the same place every time.
I'm kidding. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Unless they're just like a traveling family.
Yeah.
Like a nomad family.
Did you know you can fit 5 states of Texas inside the state of Texas? What?
My parents were less than thrilled they told me that she couldn't live in the house with us, so I said fine and shelled out my own money at a local La Quinta Inn, where she and I lived for almost 2 weeks before my parents caved and let us back in my house. 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
Damn. Now, I forgot to mention something
For fuck's sake. Freddy.
extremely important earlier about my boyfriend Zachary.
Oh.
I wonder what this important detail
He's a
that you forgot to
model.
mention.
He was very sick. I mean, terminally ill, but we thought it wouldn't be for years.
He's terminally ill, but he'll be fine for the next few years.
Terminally ill, but he's traveling all the way around the country. Just
And he's,
Yeah,
getting,
yeah.
you know, he's getting kidnapped every other week.
Yeah. I was told he had cystic fibrosis and he needed a double lung transplant in order to live much longer.
So like a full lung transplant of both.
This sounds legit like a Christian troll story. Like there is no way this is true.
Cystic fibrosis. I think that's wrong, is it?
I think it can affect, like, I think it depends on where it is. Like, I think you can get it in different places. But I
Yeah.
could be wrong. I don't know much about cystic fibrosis.
We're not experts here,
No.
please.
Yeah,
you know,
we're gonna get too far into it.
Yeah.
find a better
Let's
opinion.
just go.
He was hospitalized in the beginning of February and rushed to the transplant. He was rushed up the transplant list because his condition was so grave. I couldn't even begin to tell you how, after the year we'd been through together, how badly I wanted to be by his side. Unfortunately, he was in a hospital in a part of the country that specialised in treating CF and was too far away for me to travel to.
Oh, suspicious.
How convenient.
Yeah,
Convenient.
strange that.
Yeah. Josie kept me in pretty good spirits.
Bless
Sorry.
you. Blessed.
Just came out of nowhere. Josie kept me in pretty good spirits about the whole thing. She had a lot of experience with CF since her sister died from it several years earlier. Oh,
Oh, how
wonder if
Convenient.
that's some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
What?
She reassured me that since he was so young and tried to take such good care of himself, that he would probably receive donor lungs very soon and be just fine.
Wrong.
Extremely loud, incorrect buzzing noise.
Yeah.
I tried not to worry too much, but in reality I was worrying my ass off. Losing him after getting him out of harm's way so many times before was not an option in my mind. How could we have overcome so much only for him to succumb to this disease?
Why can't I save him now? I've saved him over 50 other fucking times.
Sorry.
Even though I've
what
never
did he,
met him.
What did he overcome?
Yeah, like...
You overcame so much, such as
A
what?
weekly kidnapping and torture
Yeah,
sessions.
that is
Yeah,
true,
that he
yeah,
was
that's
never
true.
present for, you know?
So this guy was kidnapping a terminally ill guy.
Dude is foiling plans more than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Zachary and I talked constantly when he felt like it. Okay.
Okay.
That's such a weird way of
Try to
phrasing
talk
it.
today now.
Constantly.
Yeah.
When he felt like it. And even though he was scared and alone, he said he felt like $1 million knowing I'm supporting him with my love no matter where I was.
Gee, Willikers.
That made me feel wonderful about being able to comfort him from so far away.
If you want.
And for a couple weeks, my comfort seemed to be doing the trick until one day, that day, my boyfriend died suddenly on February 14th, 2008.
Oh, come on.
Me being like,
Tell me
"That's
that we can read
poetic."
some. Can you see comments under this?
Yeah,
We'll get
later.
to that.
later.
I want to get to the comments. Yes.
His lungs filled with fluid, he suffocated and died. There was nothing anyone
Moving
could
on.
do.
Suddenly, he just died suddenly. Oh,
And on this day of Valentine, too.
Fluids.
Oh, what a world. What a world.
There was nothing anyone could do. I was completely and totally lost. Josie broke the news and I collapsed into the biggest mess you've ever seen in your life. She was still living with me at this time, so she tried to console me as best as she could while she was shedding her own tears at the loss of her best
I'm
friend.
sorry, you're describing something really sad, but I'm fucking losing it over here.
That forever ruined Valentine's Day for me. To this day, it only reminds me of loss and death.
loss. Is this loss?
No, please, not here.
You don't realize how fragile your heart truly is until you've experienced a loss like that. Little did I know that even worse moments in my life were about to occur a month later. I was headed on a course for total destruction and still blissfully unaware of the one person who had been driving this train from day one. Skipping forward to March, St. Patrick's Day to be exact.
Yeah.
Is this guy the fucking holiday killer? What's going on?
This guy to me is like someone like that's not American is trying to pretend to be American. It's like, okay, what are the days? Christmas, 14th of February, and
4th of
St. Patrick's
July.
Day.
St. Patrick's
Yeah,
Day.
yeah.
Yeah. A little over a month since Zachary had passed away, Josie had forcibly been returned to Maryland by her parents, seeing as how she had practically ran away.
I mean, there's no practically about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, she did. I was off in La La Land of booze, drugs, and more pain than either of these could cover up. I was chilling with my Satanist posse, doing what all normal
Real.
American teenagers do on St. Patty's Day, pretending like we're Irish and testing the limits of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, no,
That
that's
is-
fair.
that- that's
yeah,
good.
it's exactly
Yeah,
what
that's
you
fair.
know.
Yeah.
My alcohol tolerance back then was ridiculously high, so I'd already drank an inordinate amount when my phone rang. It was Josie. I slurred my words as something to the effect of, I'm not gonna do it. Hey girl, what you doing?
Hey there, I
What the?
I have severe depression.
Came bumbling out of my mouth. I announced to the room it was Josie, to which everyone replied, hey.
Joseph.
She lived with us for over several months, and love her or hate her, she'd become an honorary Southerner. The next words out of her mouth once again set my head spinning into space and my world into complete
I'm
chaos.
dying. Is it?
Zachary's not dead.
Oh, that was my second guess.
I stopped breathing for a moment, and when I caught my breath, I asked her to repeat that again. She did, except this time she added the fact that his life had been in danger, blah blah blah, so he had to hide even more from me, blah blah blah. Jacob just had to think he was dead, blah blah blah.
He faked his death.
I could literally feel my brain dripping out from my ears as my mind turned into mush with every word out of her mouth. Then the real kicker to my drunken mental breakdown, Zachary got on the phone. Sure enough, it was his voice. He apologised for what he had to do. I apologised for what I was about to do, which was scream and yell my lungs out, throw my phone into a wall, smashing it into a million pieces, and then proceed to go from super hammer drunk to completely shithouse wasted.
Fair.
Fair.
enough.
Fair, yeah, fair. I need to take another drink. Apologies.
Not that kind of drink.
I need a drink.
Whiskey on the rocks. I drank everything that wasn't nailed down. Who knows what other drugs I did on top of that, because I sure don't remember. I was literally having a complete and total mental breakdown. The last strand of my sanity...
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, the last strand of sanity in my brain just snapped. I did this for a couple more hours until I somehow drove back home, put on my work clothes, and tore out of the
Hold on, what?
and tore out of the parking lot to go to my job in a city half an hour down the interstate. People chasing me, trying to stop me. I don't recall any of what happened next, but apparently this is what I did. I showed up to work completely wasted and got fired from a damn good job. I called my father freaking out in the parking lot
What
of
job
said
was
job.
it? Does it
He
say?
doesn't mention.
Oh, great.
He realized
Waffle House.
To the Denny's.
He realized I was drunk and told me to stay there and he would come get me. Oh, how I wish crazy drunk me would have listened. Instead of doing that, I started driving on the interstate, again, not caring if I lived or died, and obviously not caring about anyone else. According to the police report, I was tearing down the interstate at 130 miles per hour. Sure you were, bud. I apparently hit 2 mile markers on the side of the road and blew both of my right-hand tires, but continued driving with sparks shooting 50 feet out of the back of my car. This is not
Sure.
GTA, man.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's so real.
I took the exit to the hospital going that fast and spun out completely, totally wasted what was left of the car.
And the camera zoomed up and like the wasted
Yeah.
words came up.
Apparently, to bystanders, I then proceeded to exit my vehicle and run across the damn interstate towards the hospital with people chasing after me. No, you didn't. You were probably unconscious. Like,
If
there's
people
no
have been
way
chasing
you're-
him this entire fucking
Yeah,
time, for the love of God, have they not caught him?
This is the OG
He said,
case.
yeah.
This is
He
the
said,
OG
I'm
case.
shit-faced. I'm wasted.
Yeah.
I remember this. I mean, no, he said he read
He
in
said
the
people
report.
told him this, yeah.
But, yeah, it should be, like, on the floor.
Fast
Yeah.
sprinter while drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I got into the ER doors, I heard the now familiar whoop whoop of a police cruiser.
Whoop, whoop.
That's the sound of the police. Whoop whoop. I was so arrested for driving under the influence.
You were so arrested,
Oh,
bro.
I'm so arrested.
motherfucker,
You
you're
are
so
You are
arrested.
so arrested, my man.
You're so arrested right now, girl.
God, you're not gonna believe how arrested I am.
Like,
Yeah.
so arrested.
I blew a .20 again about 12 hours after I had my last drink. If I had blown a .21, I would have gotten a felony charge. What?
Yeah.
I feel like you should have still gotten a felony charge.
That led to years of failed drug tests, violated probations, and ultimately a year in jail down the line.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
After that, I decided enough was enough. These crazy people from Maryland and their insane concept of living could all go to hell as far as I was concerned. It had been nearly 2 years of torment, fear, and unimaginable pain. Worst of all, it was starting to cost me my mind and my freedom. I was done listening to Josie and ready to start listening to my actual friends in town who had been begging for me to stay away from people for a long time. Some good friends set me down and started to tell me about the inconsistencies in all their stories over the last few years. At first, I didn't want to listen, and then eventually, there was too much evidence not to listen.
I'm hoping these friends are the Satan posse.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream,
No.
guys!
It's a perfect day.
What a glorious day this is. February 14th.
Merry Christmas.
At first, I didn't want to listen. That's just getting closer.
You spoke badly about
Yeah.
Jacob.
At first, I didn't want to listen, but then eventually there was too much evidence not to listen. I've read that, sorry. Finally, I opened my ears and my mind to what was really going on. I decided to figure this shit out once and for all. I got on Facebook, I got on MySpace, Facebook, and every other social media that I could think of. I typed in Josie's full name into the search bar of every single one.
I knew she would be behind me.
What I found to
Same.
this day still makes me want to turn my stomach contents inside out. There, on every social media possible, by using her name and the few email addresses I knew she had, I found dozens and dozens of accounts linked to her emails. Duplicate after duplicate of Zachary's full name on accounts and pictures of her.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Jacob and every single solitary other person in the supposed elites.
Yeah.
That's when it finally, after years of denial and torment, it finally freaking hit me like a railroad car full of bricks. Holy shit, she's every single one of these people. She absolutely and unequivocally made up every single solitary one of these people and has been
And what
pretending
about
to be a
Sean?
dozen or more people.
Yeah, what about
for
the
over
guy
2
that,
years.
like, you threatened to, like, shoot?
Yeah, like Sean and Chaz.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually
He's
met
met.
those. Yeah, so, like...
They
those
gotta
are
be
people-
real.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense. So also, he's never Googled her name.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say
Like
that
when
as
you
well.
first like connect on Facebook or something, you put the name in and you see like
I mean,
I mean, it
first
was
met on
MySpace.
He never Facebooked
But he-
her.
To be
But
fair,
we're on
still,
Facebook.
would
at
you
first, Facebook would have also not been a thing until a couple of years after they'd met.
yeah.
So she might have sent him a friend request, and he's not bothered to look her up because at that point they'd already had an established relationship.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have
'Cause
felt the need to.
He met her through another friend?
If he,
Yes,
like right at the start,
Yeah, he
yeah.
met
Jacob.
Jacob
Okay.
through someone else's friends list.
Okay.
Added him. Jacob introduced him to all his friends, which included Josie,
Who was the real person?
who was the
whole
real
time.
person the whole time.
Kind of feels kind of obvious when she was the only one you were
Yeah.
actually fucking meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Chaz and Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, he met
than
them.
those two,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know.
They were like.
One
C
guy risked his
characters.
life. If this was a prank,
We'll
Well,
see.
yeah. As you can imagine, my jaw hit the damn floor. Thank God I had some close friends there who kept me from falling apart and helped me find every single fake profile she had ever created. I was dumbfounded. Profile after profile after profile that had her picture, but the names of people I thought were entirely real. Prototype accounts before she ended up making the actual fake accounts. Gag or jokes to her, really. In fact, all of this had to be one big, insane, psychotic joke.
The ice cream truck just went right past the window.
the timing is insane. A psychotic joke.
I was too shocked to be enraged yet, but don't worry, that's coming. I diligently copied every link to every single one of her profiles into my AOL Instant Messenger, then I called her. Hey, how are you? I'm alright, I guess. Just bored. You? Nope, definitely not bored over here. Get on AIM chat and I'll show you something really interesting.
Sorry. He talked on the phone with Zachary.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Did she pretend to?
We'll get there.
Oh,
I
okay.
promise
Okay.
every
Yeah.
question you have.
Okay.
I do have like two possible answers to that before you reveal anything. One, she's got brothers. And two, she's a great voice
Yeah,
actress.
maybe.
And now we know her.
I was nearly hysterical at that point and could tell she knew something was up. Once she was online, I simply asked her, "Hey Josie, what are these?" Then sent her the link to every single fake profile she had ever created in her miserable life, and a few from email accounts I didn't even know didn't even know belonged to her. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening as I heard her click through link after link. Her 2-year-long mental game was over, and she finally realized her words. Well, fuck, man. Guess you got me.
Oh, I thought she was gonna be like, there is an explanation. For this, right?
Didn't
Call
even
me
double down.
tomorrow. And I'll have a perfect.
I'll have a whole answer crafted.
Yeah. She then started to laugh, genuinely laugh, as though something remotely funny had just occurred. I don't recall what I said, but apparently it was bad enough for my friends to take away the phone and have to hold me down.
Cunt.
Hey,
Hey, that's not.
you gotta build that up before you just say that, Melina.
Catfish the Shore movie wasn't around way back then, so I had unwittingly become one of the first hardcore victims of a stalker on the internet age. Worse than that, I had talked to, lived with, and even befriended the girl who had been stalking and trying to ruin my life for over 2 years.
But why?
It was literally and still is the single biggest mindfuck I have ever had in my entire life. Thousands upon thousands of messenger conversations, hundreds and thousands of hours of phone conversation, countless amounts of cash being spent to drive up several states away. Several? What?
Oh, like maybe means he has to go through several states
Oh.
to get to Maryland.
Maybe, but that wouldn't take like 4 or
After
5
this,
hours.
We're gonna
No.
pull up a map.
Yeah.
we're gonna,
I- I
we're gonna
do
see
know
where the
south.
Appalachian
It's like-
Mountains
I
are.
do know
No.
Appalachia goes
It's
through
like-
multiple
it's
states.
Like someone that doesn't know how big the states are.
Yeah.
And if you drive 4 hours, you can still be in
Yeah.
one state.
Yeah, but
Uh-huh.
it depends on the size of the state. Like Rhode Island's tiny.
Are we
Okay,
gonna
but
f-
he's not in Rhode Island.
No.
Yeah.
He's in the south. Texas is probably like 15 hours.
We'll
side
look
by
up a
side.
map after this.
Yes.
Yes, we'll look.
Patience.
Patience.
Debunking.
Just to stay with my psycho stalker every single time. Even bringing her down to live with me for months, having $5,000 mysteriously vanished out of my bank account. Whoa,
Oh, we
okay.
didn't
Okay,
question
you didn't mention that
You
earlier.
didn't
What-
mention this.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're so fucking dumb, my guy. I know you were a teenager, but this is
At
insanely
what
dumb.
point do you just not have like a survival instinct?
No, exactly.
When $5,000
Yeah.
leaves your fucking bank account.
multiple crimes occurred. It was
Also,
like, wow.
how does this kid have $5,000 just in his bank
Makes no
account?
sense.
Yeah, everything was starting to make sense. Is it?
No,
Is
it
so? There was no Jacob, there was no Zachary, there was no gang.
These questions lead to more questions.
What there actually was one completely batshit insane girl with more mental problems than could fit in an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
She was the only person I had ever talked to, she was the only person I ever saw, and even worse, she was the one that paid Sean to come down to my house with a gun and try to kill my entire family. Josie was the only person in the last 2 years that had orchestrated any of this, from all the fake kidnappings and boyfriend drama, to faking the death of someone I had fallen in love with and bringing him back just to screw with my head. Who the
But
hell
now
does
it's
that?
a little funny.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
All the events of the last 2 years came flooding into my mind as I realised in each and every one it was solely her and no one else but her. So many questions raced through my head, the least of all being why me. I deleted my MySpace and made my Facebook private. I only accept friends that I know are real. I completely fell off the wagon and out of my head. Drugs, alcohol, and more drugs. That's all I could do to cope. Here I was, a gay man that had unknowingly fallen in love with a straight woman, and regardless of whether or not I thought it was a gay man, which I wholeheartedly did, that shit still fucks
Yeah.
you in the head pretty hard.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. I didn't think I could ever be close to someone again. My world had been rocked and ruined. To this day, all these years later, I still don't trust people. I don't think I will ever be able to trust someone ever again. Can you blame me? She came down here. Yep, you heard me right. That bitch moved into my sister town not even half an hour away from me. I bumped into her by accident. We started talking.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's why.
People
Oh
don't
my
just
God, how
fucking
you
get up and move. Like, oh,
Okay,
it's gonna move.
I want to stress. I don't condone violence, but like the
But
only
there are
talk
moments.
there are. I just want to say the only sort of talking you gotta do is with a gun.
Again, as much as I wanted to stomp her in a bloody pulp on the ground,
Or that's also a good option.
you catch more flies with honey. Man,
Stop saying
Stop
that.
saying that.
Whoever told you that phrase fucking lied to you.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of there.
I wanted answers. Hell, I deserved them. I told her I was just trying to forgive her and I needed answers to my question in order to do so. I asked her if she would sit down with me and tell me everything, and she reluctantly agreed. I politely informed her that this forgiveness was not for her, but it was for me so I could stop holding on to and living in the past.
She reluctantly agreed, so like she just went, fine.
Yeah.
I'll reveal everything that bad that happened to you over those 2 years.
I explained she nearly killed me / ruined my life, and what she did was the most personal and horrific thing one human being can do to another. Well,
It's up there.
It's up
It,
there.
it's on the list, but you know.
There's a couple things higher than it.
Yeah.
Especially after I was so damn good to her. She was polite and let me get what I needed off my chest. I tried to be calm and not rude so she wouldn't run away, and I did get closure somewhat and answers to everything. Here's her explanation. Take it with a grain of salt. Man, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You've seen
The
this
grain
story,
of salt
right?
is massive. It's
Yeah,
a huge. It's a
yeah.
boulder.
There's just an entire salt dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One must imagine Saltifus happy.
It started out as a joke when she was in high school. There was a girl who was being mean to her and bullying her, so she thought she'd get her back. by getting her to like a guy online and reveal the awful truth later. Haha. Okay.
Oh yeah,
What?
that's
Wow,
so funny.
that's so rational.
Yeah, she made a bunch of prototype profiles and eventually almost 20 profiles in total, so it looked like this group of people had the same friends and they were real. She just pulled pictures off of Google. She knew none of these people in real life. She was having a good old time tricking this girl when along comes a spider to mess up her web. Me. She said she thought she would just mess with me a bit and let me know she was actually a girl, but after talking with me, she unintentionally fell in love with me.
Of course, that's a classic.
Yep. Whether that's true or not, I don't know what to believe. If she really did love me, then why put me through pure fucking hell for 2 years? She said she wanted to tell me a million times, but it just got out of control. And before she knew it, she was really getting into being these people, and somewhat believed she was them and they were real. Again, this chick is the world's best bullshitter I've ever met, so who knows what the truth really is. All I wanted to know was how did she get the music, and how did she sound like a guy on the phone? Okay, so the music ties back to the very beginning of this, where he mentioned that.
Oh yeah, play
Music.
piano.
One of them plays piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music, as she shockingly demonstrated to me, was actually hers. She's an amazing pianist and guitar player. I saw this with my own eyes and heard it in my own ears. Zachary's voice on the phone wasn't very complicated. She paid a guy friend a few bucks to be in on it, which this jerk off eagerly agreed to, ruining someone's life for a few bucks. How sweet. Sean was all her. She paid him $500 to do that, and she had zero explanation as to why.
I just thought it would.
So she
you know, I got
loves him.
bored.
I'm sorry, she has fallen in love with him.
Yep.
She pays a guy to go there and kill him and his family.
It's all for the bit.
Makes us and all be like,
Amazing bit.
but if he shoots you with a shotgun, you need to leave and don't shoot him at all.
I don't think she told him that she needed to leave.
It makes
if he brought
no
the
sense.
I mean,
shotgun
and
out.
if the guy was acting like the way he did in that story, then like he seemed to be as psycho as her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the bit.
Just
Yeah.
a little bit.
She's just committed real
Makes
hard
no
to the
s-
bit.
makes
I
no
hate to
sense.
say
Commit
this.
to the bit.
I hate to say this as the motive, but bitch is crazy.
Yeah. She knew he would do it. He's just as much as a psycho as she is.
Yeah.
The rest of it was just pure fantasy and imagination, all dolled up to be extra crazy so I would care more about Zachary and give her more attention. As lie after lie finally revealed and the truth brought to life, I had heard enough, around 8 hours of this. My god, just
I
sitting
mean,
there.
it's 2 years of lore.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
But I
a lot.
feel like
Yeah.
most of it can be answered by like 3 simple questions.
Yeah.
8 hours of yap.
Yeah, just is he just letting her talk for 8 hours?
I would have
Like-
fallen
I mean,
asleep halfway.
women, am I
So they
right?
started like 7 p.m. It's like 3 a.m.
Yeah, like
What do you say? What? What was Sean?
Walter.
Walter. Who's Sean Walter? Go on.
I'd heard enough I really ever needed to hear and wanted to. My life was nearly destroyed, my family nearly killed, my mental and emotional health left
You were
scarred
nearly
forever.
killed. Sorry.
I mean, there was a guy that showed up with his
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah,
but he
that
didn't
guy-
do anything. He just showed up, cocked a gun, allegedly, and left.
Yeah, he only stopped because he got a gun at
He
his
didn't-
back.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he shot like 10 feet instead of.
A shotgun's not clearing 10 foot, I don't think.
Yeah.
Anyway, my mental and emotional health left scarred forever, and every simple, and ever simply because she wasn't getting enough attention in her life. Neither was I when all that started, but I didn't go about like a human wrecking ball trying to make myself feel better. I'll never be able to comprehend or understand the mind of someone like that. People who derive pleasure from other people's pain and misery. I'll never be able to fully trust again, not in the way that's required of a true partner and companion. I just can't do that. If I'm morally betrayed again, I know the next time will kill me. So as I write this in my apartment, a little over a decade after it all happened, I'm alone. One good thing did come from this. It sure as hell made me the person I am today, and it strengthened and toughened my resolve into tempered steel. I learned to be okay with myself and to finally love myself after so many years of self-loathing. I'm a pretty amazing person. I don't need a man to define my life and who I am in any shape, form, or fashion. Obviously, I'm worth something, otherwise this psycho chick wouldn't have latched onto me for years and ended up moving 8 hours away from her home to be 30 minutes away from me after all this damn time. What she stole, I'll never get back, but what I gained, she can never take away from me again. And that's it. It's the end of the story. It's fucking long. We've
Yeah.
actually
How long
been-
did it take?
That's the full hour.
Is it an hour?
An hour and 11 minutes.
An hour. Can you show me just the post?
Yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah.
you? Can I just? I just want to see like the full. If you can you. Oh,
Oh my god. Seeing you scroll,
Sorry,
scroll,
how
scroll,
many-
scroll, scroll.
I read this last night too.
I mean, you see the cursor on the side.
No. First comment just says,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then this guy replies, yep, that about sums it up.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Bum,
Sure
ba-da-dum,
is.
dum, dum, dum. That's all,
all.
folks.
So, but people are actually believing this happened.
I think there
I mean,
is an
it's all
auto mod
8 years
thing
ago.
somewhere that mentions that they sent proof to the mods,
Mm.
which is why they verified it.
Yeah.
But what proof?
We
could
don't
have,
know.
you could have
We
made
don't
up
know,
To be
dude.
fair,
accounts.
like with them sending it to the mods, it could be very private stuff that you're
Yeah.
not wanting to put on Reddit.
Yeah.
No, but how could he prove the story?
If he has like the old AOL
All the
account.
chat logs.
all the chat logs,
Yeah.
all like the text, the phone call history. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bank statements to show $5,000 just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To Josie. Oh, I wonder where that went.
What a twist.
I mean, even like if just because they don't bring it up, they might have filed a restraining order against Josie in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
You know, since they lived only 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
So even that could be proof. You know.
Yeah. Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
I hate
What a
it.
story, Mark.
Wow. There you
I'll
go.
hand it back to you.
But yeah, that's
So is it
actually
true or
true.
false? I think it's fake.
I-
maybe it's mixed with reality.
yeah.
Yeah.
It could just be written for more effect.
yeah.
You know.
But
Yeah.
there's
You know,
so many
more dramatic.
inconsistencies. Like with the travel, time
I
travel,
mean,
and then
memory is bad.
And fuzzy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like it's why eyewitness accounts in crime and like criminal
Courts.
court and stuff
They
is
don't really.
sort of they don't hold a lot of weight, and they tend not to bring them in because it can sway the jury in the wrong way if that person misremembers something.
Yeah, yeah.
So it could just be they're.
what about Chaz? Who is Chaz?
We will never know.
fuck
Never
knows.
There never was a
there's
Chaz.
there's so many plot holes in this.
And plot holes in this guy's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reality is unrealistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
I mean, it's possible this did happen to someone, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Early internet was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Early like MySpace days.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get on this guy's profile, but I just end up on the subreddit. Hold on. See, let me on. Profile unavailable. Never mind.
Yeah.
Dead.
I thought
Yeah. So,
Wow.
can't even check the guy's post history, which is usually my way of verifying if
Exactly.
something's, because
Yeah.
I found like a couple I think I found one on here from like recent posts that I read and then went to the person's profile and like they had posts on like, am I the asshole, true off my chest, that didn't
Every
add
single.
up.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
one, he was like, my daughter, and the second one was like, I'm single and I'm sad.
One was
come
like
on.
me 23 female and my boyfriend 21 male or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and then like the next one was like me 20
Yeah.
female and
I've seen so like
Yeah.
they're inconsistent.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I read. Have you heard about this? Has very little to do with this, but with more we read it. That there was this study from this Australian university or some other university where they basically made up a lot of bots to see how easily redditors were swayed,
Yeah.
and like 80% of like the content that they put out was like fake. Like, but it was believed. The 80% was believed by redditors. Cause like, yeah, this is Reddit's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like, you
just
should always
gotta
assume that
believe
everything
it.
is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime we read stuff from Reddit, like, always take it with a pinch of salt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll lend it, some credence because you need to believe it at least partially to read it.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise it's like, well, we're just reading fan fiction on
Yeah.
here.
It sounded like
Yeah.
bad fan
Yeah.
fiction to me. So he said, this is 8 years ago,
posted
Right,
8
posted
years
8
ago,
years ago.
happened
10 years prior.
12 years prior.
12
something
years.
Like that, yeah.
So 20 years ago.
20 years
Yeah.
ago.
So it was 10, 20,
5.
no, 17?
It was posted.
They were 17
When this happened.
16 at the start, and then a
Yeah.
year passed. So yeah, they were
17, so 17 plus 20?
yeah,
So it'd be
they-
37.
yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Almost in their 40s.
Oof,
That's crazy.
disgusting.
Anyway.
Anyway, it's a bit of a crazy one.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. We're not doing more stories, are we?
No, that took up far
Oh,
longer than I
yeah.
expected. I forgot how long it actually was. I should
Yeah.
have
Quite
timed
long.
when I was reading it like yesterday to see how long it
Yeah, but
was.
also, you also had like us
Us.
stopping.
Sure,
and
but I
like,
feel like it would have
Exactly.
taken
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
enough to read it without interruptions. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know what
Oh, wow.
to say about it. That's the thing. I've
Yeah.
read it twice and I still just like.
I think I really summed up with, wow, what a story, Mark.
Yeah.
For real.
Like, man.
Man.
I
No,
got
no,
nothing.
not man. Woman.
Woman.
Woman. Ugh.
Woman, am I right?
Yep.
Don't talk to women.
That's the message of
Yeah.
Halloween Lane this year. Listen to women, don't
Don't
trust
trust
women.
Listen to them, but
I'm getting
maybe,
mixed
put them a
messages.
barrier.
Mixed signals over here.
Beautiful.
We're
Beautiful
consistent all the
messaging.
time. Never.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think this brings this episode
Yeah.
to the end.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween.
We'll see you guys next year for more Halloween Lane.
Yippee.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yippee.
Yippee.